Inravio.com.
This is Joe Larson, and you're watching the 5 On Racing Show. Happy holidays to our Jewish friends out there. There's many, so I want to say happy Hanukkah. And for those who are getting ready for Christmas, I got to tell you, it's right around the corner, folks. And I did some shopping this weekend, and it was quite busy. It was quite. The lines weren't that bad, but it was just a lot of people, I guess, looking. But anyway, with Christmas season upon us and Hanukkah right in the middle of us, you know, racing is in its off season, but it's really not, because you know, they just had the banquet, you know, crowning Joey Logano as the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion, and what they're going to do is they'll have a couple of weeks off for the holidays, and then they get into testing and sponsor appearances, and then it's more testing. And then before you know it, they're getting ready for Daytona, and we're in for another 11 months of racing, at least at the top level. Tonight we're going to talk about some of the things going on. We're going to hear the results from the Snowball Derby in Pensacola, Florida, some NASCAR news, and just some normal race chat. And when I say normal race chat, this is the time of year there's not a lot going on race-wise. Like I said, the banquet for the top 3 series is over. The Touring Series banquet is this weekend in Charlotte. And people are going, it's over. The Turkey Derby is over. The Snowball Derby just ended, and there is really no racing going on. But what happens this time of season is, this is when you prepare for next season. And one of the things that I learned in my UPS career is, when does wrap up of a job start? And it starts at the beginning of the job. So when does looking for sponsors for next year start? It starts now. In fact, it started during the 2018 season. And you see there's a lot of struggles, and not only in the top levels in racing, but the touring levels and even guys in the weekly series. Those guys, they have to have some help as well. And I want to say hello to all our chat room regulars that seem to be out there all the time. So I want to thank you guys and gals for signing in. But when you look at this, when you share this information with other people, they kind of look at you like you're kind of wacky. And they don't understand that. And I was talking to somebody about sponsorships and the ones that sponsor on cars at the local racetracks. And not to put anybody down, please don't get me wrong. But what happens is this. Somebody goes up to a driver and says, hey, I'm going to buy you a tire. All right, so a tire ranges anywhere from $100 to $180. And you give that customer, that client, that business, like a quarter panel for a tire that you're going to get a week, maybe 2 out of. And it's no different in the top levels. They don't give away parts of the car for small amounts of money. And sometimes you have to hold back. Sometimes you have to sit back and say, hey, you know what? Thanks, but no thanks. Yeah, I could use the tire, but I only got a little spot for you. And sponsorship, in my opinion, at some of the weekly racing series short tracks, is more about ego. Hey, I sponsored that car, and everybody thinks you gave the guy a gazillion dollars. You didn't. You might have just bought him some fuel, maybe a couple of tires in the course of the season. And I talk to drivers who always seem to have good sponsorship. And when I say good, a fair amount of money, fair amount of product, and they keep coming back every year. And the reason for that is they take care of that sponsor. How do you take care of it? You take care of a sponsor by showing them a return, and you also represent that company in such a way that they're proud to be a part of your race team. You go to appearances, you dress right, you know, you wear a shirt, maybe you have some shirts done up with their logo and their emblem, and that goes a long way. You know, it really does, and it irks me sometimes when I see drivers walking through the pit area and they have their fire suit. You know, the top is off, and if it's a one piece, it's tied around their waist, and the sponsors are sometimes on there by embroidery, sometimes they're on there with a patch, but nobody sees that. Because nobody sees that, because when do they put their fires? They roll in and put them and zip it up, and they get in their race car. Nobody sees that. You know, it's kind of tough. And that kind of guys aren't going to make me laugh tonight. That didn't count. But anyway, when you look at this top level, you look at a team, you know, like Martin Truex Jr., where he came from. He's a 1 year beyond being a champion in the top series, and the team shut down. You didn't see that in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s or in the 80s. But you kind of see it now, and why is that? And I think part of the reason is the cost to races skyrocketed, but the return that goes back to the teams has kind of stayed the same. And that's not fair. That's not fair to the teams. That's not fair to the people. You know, and whether it's a NASCAR problem or it's a sanctioning problem or it's a racetrack problem, you know, they have to share in, and you know, they got to spread the wealth. They got to share the wealth. And when I say share the wealth, you had $1 billion TV package. Where did that go? Where did that go? It should have been filtered not only to the top three, but any class of racing or any track that carries the NASCAR banner. That's where that should go. It should be spread around. I'm not saying go give your local short track $1 million, but you know, spread it around. Spread it around, even if you do it in a contingency program. You know, and you know, like Jason Sly says, it takes years to get sponsors. It takes seconds to lose them. And he is so right. He is so right. You know, I had a sponsor, and I'm not going to say who they are. They were with me for many, many, many years. And partially because of the relationship I had with somebody who had a relationship with that organization. Once that person left that organization, there was nothing. And you're like, whoa, they're gone. And it's nothing that the team did. It's nothing that the track that I raced at did. It was the relationship within that company with the person I had a relationship moved on to other things. And that happens too. And you know, sometimes you got to deal with the right person and kind of make inroads in so that other people at that organization know what you're doing and know what it's about. And how do you do that? You do that by sending a newsletter to them, going to their website, whatever, letting them know what's going on, you know. And yeah, you have 22 figure eight. You're not going to make me laugh, but I'm sure I remember that night because I went flying over your head a couple of times. But you know, we look back and laugh. It wasn't funny that night, but we look back and we laugh, and we say, you know, hey, we had a good time. We had a great time. But anyway, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that went on. In fact, I'm going to talk about the Snowball Derby and the results there, and some of the NASCAR talk when we come back.
Hey, what's oh, I was going to say what's up for some reason. Hey, we're Set It Up, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. The Snowball Derby, held at the Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, held a race this weekend. And it was one of those races that started in the daylight and ended at night. Had a lot of issues. But it's a late model race, and it seems like whoever is a driver, in no matter what series was in this thing, but the results go like this for the Snowball Derby. Noah Gregson was the winner there. There's Noah with the trophy and the trophy queen next to him. Noah Gregson drives for Kyle Busch Racing, so he had a win there. Drew Majeski was second. Jeff Croquette was third. Connor Ogazik, I believe that's how it goes, was fourth. Casey Roderick was fifth. Chandler Smith sixth. Donnie Wilson seventh. Tyler Enkrum eighth. Cole Butcher ninth, and Harrison Burton rounding out the top 10. Harrison Burton had looked like he was going to run away with it, and just you know, it's a tough place to race, and racing's pretty tough. So anyway, that's the results of the Snowball Derby. So I was scrolling through the chat room while we were on break. Jay Slice was asking 22 figured if he remembers who my sponsors were as I went flying over his hood. And you know, as he said that, I never really went over his hood. I usually banged into him. But I did wreck him on lap one once, as he's saying. I could confirm that. It wasn't that fun that night, and he came up to me and he's like, "Joe, lap one? Really? Lap one?" And he must have said lap one like, 20 times. And I just want, what can I tell you? And I, Jason, I never had a radio man. Well, I shouldn't say never. I did once, and they were saying stuff like they were, telling me who I was coming up on, and not who was alongside me. Who was behind me. I didn't need to know that. And they just kept talking and talking. So I just ripped out the wire. I never used the radio again. If I went racing again in my local racetrack, I don't know what I would do, because I can't take that banter in my ear. I can't. And I could use the excuse that I can't hear him because I have hearing aids, but I don't think that would last very long. But it's just one of those things. And racing back in the days was a lot different than it was now. So, but we do what we gotta do, and from time to time. And when we do that, we kind of look back and like 22 Figure 8 says, it wasn't funny at the time, but we look back and we have a chuckle over it, and remember that. And I'm going to tell you, when you look back and you sit back and you laugh, and you want to enjoy those moments. And I'm telling you what, there were so many nights I drove out of that racetrack and I'm not coming back, I'm not coming back. And you know, you come back. You're the first guy in line the following week. And you always want to blame somebody. You know, you want to blame the officials. You want to blame some guy that was next to you. You want to blame some driver. You want to blame the spotter for telling them it was clear and it wasn't. And you know, when you look at that in a race car, now, you know, think about this. And I had this conversation. Somebody would ask me, "Why do you brake with your left foot?" Whole big conversation. Now you're on a short track and you're going, you know, maybe at the end 75, 85, 90 miles an hour. At 60 miles an hour, you're going 100 feet a second. Do the math. Something happens in front of you. Now, if you're going to brake the conventional way and you're going to lift off the gas and touch the brake, it was probably just under a second. You just went 100 feet. Now, if you're braking with your left foot, which is usually right over the brake, and you go to hit, you're doing it in about a third of a second, and some guys, if they're quick, 2/10. You just cut that stopping time by a lot. Yeah, you're still going to skid, you still might hit them. And that's what I always said with spotters on a quarter-mile racetrack. You know, by the time they hit the button and go, accident in turn 1, it took them 2 seconds to say that. You're already there, unless it gives you that call on a backstretch. So I was never a fan of spotters, because sometimes the spotters try to drive the race cars. And I've even heard spotters, you know, because when I go to my local racetrack at Riverhead, I stand along the wall sometimes in turn 4. And I hear spotters screaming at the drivers, "Wreck that guy, wreck him, stuff him, put him in the wall." And when the race was over, the guy's walking back, and I said, "Why would you tell your driver to wreck that guy? He's in the way." Well, pass him. Pass him, go around him. Wreck that guy? You'd be the first guy screaming and yelling if he wrecked you. And then the guy wanted to have a big argument about it. I said, "Look, I'm not here to argue. I'm just saying, why would you say that? That's, you know, you get your driver." I said, "You as a spotter, you're supposed to calm your driver down." He might say, "I'm going to get that SOB." No, you relax the guy. You relax him. You know, so, you know, it's one of those things where you got to work together and go to the other guy, go to that guy's spotter, say, "Hey, listen, you know, give us a lane, give us room. You know, talk to them. Don't try to always wreck somebody." The fields are small enough in some of these short tracks all over the country that you want to go wreck a guy who may A, get hurt really bad, may get hurt permanent, or may not want to come back, or can't afford to come back. And who wants to race? I mean, I've had discussions with guys, you know, and when I tell them, you know, your car counts are dwindling, and how much longer is the track going to keep your series or your division at the racetrack? And they go, they told me if there's one car, there'll still be a race. I don't think so. I don't think, and I seem to have that argument often. And 22 figure 8, you always drove better when you were mad. Most of the time it was not me, but anyway, I guess. But you know, like Jay Slice says, you know, when he spotted for his brother, and you know, you kind of, you know, keep telling him how it's good. You keep building him up, building him up. And I know I spotted at Bristol one time, and Freddie Kraft was up there, and I kind of followed him around, and I said to Freddie, you know, he goes, "Where do we go? What do we do?" And he says, "Look, don't follow me. Your driver's going to start last." And I think I told him my driver's already starting last, and no matter. So we get up there, and I'm listening to him, and yeah, he was doing the right thing with what, you know, inside, outside, clear, and all that kind of good stuff. But he was keeping his driver calm. You know, Freddie's worked up through the ranks, you know, from the short track here on Long Island at Riverhead to the modifieds, K&M Pro Series, trucks, Xfinity, and a Cup at Richard Petty Motorsports. And he's good at what he does. And I know a few spotters, and when you listen to them talk, it's just so, they're just smooth, and yeah, stuff happens and the driver gets all angry and stuff, but you know, it's as long as the spotter's not trying to drive the car, you know, I'm okay with spotters, but sometimes they try to drive the car. And I don't like that. I just don't, Let the drivers drive. Let the drivers drive. And I can remember having a meeting with a bunch of owners and drivers, and one of the owners said, you know what, let's get rid of the mirrors, get rid of the spotters, and let them listen to race control. And I thought about it at the time, and I was like, what is he, nuts? And as I got older and a little more mature, he was right. Because everybody's mirrored. If you stand in turn 2 or turn 4, and you watch drivers coming down the straightaway, they're like this. Why are they looking in the mirror? They should be looking. They don't need to know where they were. They need to know where they're going. Just my opinion, folks. Just my opinion. Anyway, what went on? Like I said, the top 3 series had their banquet out in Las Vegas. And if you're a West Coast viewer, I guess I can't say out in Las Vegas. I don't know what you would say, but I guess you would say back east in Vegas. But anyway, they had their banquet, and the NASCAR Most Popular Driver Awards, or some of the awards that were handed out. And I looked at it, I said, where did this start? Well, it started in 1956, theoretically. Yeah, it was before that where they picked out a Most Popular Driver. But it was a pool of the drivers. The drivers would pick the most popular driver. They just couldn't pick for themselves. They couldn't say, I'm a driver in the series. I want to be most popular driver. Because then it would be like a 72-way tie. Everybody would vote for themselves. But today it's voted on by the fans. And the fans vote online, and you can vote as many times as you want. And there's no limit. There's no limit to how many times you can vote. And I don't agree with that. I really don't. And I know being involved with Riverhead over the years, they had a most popular driver program. And it just seemed it was, who was able to steal the most programs and fill them out and send in the ballots. And, and I'm going to share a story. No names, no names. The balloting's going all season long. The night before the last event, and we were keeping track. When I say we, the powers to be that handle the programs. And get to the racetrack. They used to keep the old programs. Well, not that what they did is they brought the old programs out to the track the week before and were selling the back issues for like $1 or 50 cents or something. So they were all there. So we get to the racetrack. Now, all the counts were done. The only thing we had to add to it was any votes that came in that day. So what comes in that day? One person brings like 200 ballots. Guess how many programs are missing out of my office? 200 programs. So of course, everybody, they voted for one. And I was really upset about that. I really was. It didn't work. It just didn't work. And then there was a year that the people who won the Most Popular Driver Award were not in good favor with the track owners for whatever reason. So they refused to recognize the award. Now, I'm not going to say any names or whatnot, but it kind of took it away. Steve Barrett of Program Dynamics did a fine job doing that. And he put out a good booklet, and he was fair as fair can be. And I don't know, it just, in my opinion, it wasn't right. But anyway, with this, the Most Popular Driver, somebody can go on there and vote every day for like a whole year and make it happen for their driver. Now, when you look at in the Cup Series, Bill Elliott was voted the most popular driver 16 times in his career, which is a record in that series. Elliott Sadler 4 times in the Xfinity, and Johnny Benson 3 times in Hears, in the Truck Series. But in the Cup Series this year, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, the most popular voter voted on by the fans was Chase Elliott, following in his dad's footsteps. He was the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series most popular driver for 2018. Chase Elliott, he must have the same people voting that voted for his dad. So, good, and congratulations to Chase, because he's a good kid, and he is a popular person. He walks around the garage and doesn't make himself scarce, and he signs a lot of autographs. In the Xfinity Series, this year was Elliott Sadler, was his fourth, most popular driver for him. And Elliott Sadler, his career is kind of over. He's going to retire and move on to other things. And in the Camping World Truck Series, Noah Gragson was the most popular driver in the Truck Series, and also he was the winner of the Snowball Derby at Pensacola, Florida at Five Flags Speedway. So congratulations to those winners. I'm not going to go through all those little awards I gave out. And if you watched the NASCAR banquet, it was kind of boring, you know. And what they don't do and what they used to do is earning $72,847.19 is so-and-so. They stopped doing that. They stopped publicizing how much the drivers made, because the drivers don't make that. So when you see, like, this race pays $1 million to win, that driver does not get that $1 million. Every driver in not only the top 3 series, but also in the touring series, that driver signs what they call an owner's release. The money goes to the team owner, whether it's a corporation, whether it's a person, whomever that may be. And they're under contract. They're on a salary. Some drivers, make a certain amount per week, per month. Some make a certain amount base pay, and then there's some incentives based on where they finish, if they get a pole, for wins. And some drivers they go in and they make a deal. Make a deal, one race at a time, whatever it may be. But, you look back, and you look back at some of these guys, when you look back in the old days, and who the driver of the car, many times the owner was listed as his wife. And that's how the ownership thing worked. And they did that for whatever reason, and you had to buy 2 licenses. You had to buy a driver's license and an owner's license in the top series, even in the touring series. And the only reason I could see that is just the revenue source for NASCAR. That, do you really have to have an owner's license? Do you really have to get, is there anything separate? Yeah, the owner gets the money, and then whatever deal the owner has, they pay that driver. I don't know. And you know what? Yeah. When you look at some of the stuff here, 22 Figure does not like Elliott Sadler. Thank you for sharing that. But and some people don't like the chase. Yeah. I hope that's not Chase Elliott you don't like. But I know you do. I know you're just saying about the chase and stuff. But when you have these things going on and on, it's not the same, and it's become corporate, and the racetrack operators and NASCAR and International Speedway Group Corp, in my opinion, they want to sell seats to corporations, and if they don't show up, they don't show up. So, and that's how that works. But anyway, we're going to take a break, and we come back. We have an interview with the former modified star that ran Ice Up and Riverhead Raceway and many other tracks, Lenny Fisher from the Marty Himes Museum of Race and Nostalgia, when we come back.
Hi, I'm Remington.
I'm Emerson.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're Palais Royale, and you're watching Inravio TV.
There we go.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi, this is Mike Jarecki from My Race News, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Every year in August, Marty Himes has a race car drivers reunion party at his house, his museum, his properties. And here at the 505 on Racing, we make a trip to there, and I'm going to say the last 6-7 years, almost I guess ever since we've been airing this show. And when I say a lot of drivers and old officials, and I don't mean old in age, but old from the old days, come to this and travel from all over the country. And we're going to have some segments on throughout the winter from the drivers that we interviewed there. And tonight we're going to start with Lenny Fisher, who drove a modified at ISOP in Riverhead, number 77, immaculately prepared race cars. And we're gonna show that interview now, at least a little bit of it. We're gonna do it in 3 segments, but this is the first segment of it. Here's Lenny. Hey, we're back. We got a little technical. But if we can get that fixed, we'll do it tonight. If not, we'll go back to it next week. But, you know, Marty Himes, his heart and soul is into this racing stuff. And when I say into this, he is into this. And he's taken his home and made it a museum. And when I say a museum, it's his whole house is full of racing nostalgia. And it's fire suits, it's helmets, it's shirts, it's memorabilia, it's cars, it's parts, it's driver doors, it's anything that has to do with racing. And I remember the first time I went there, and I was kind of just in awe of what I saw. It was a long time ago. And I'm answering Facebook Live, I'm not texting. And somebody asked about a driver, and mine went like this, I'll be right back. And he went into a room, came out, and there was something from that guy. And he said to me, there's nothing he doesn't have there. And I don't want to sit and challenge him because I'm sure he does. He's got stuff, and I'm saying like a long time, like almost 50 years worth of stuff that he's collected over the years, and he puts his heart and soul into this thing. He's right over here in Bayshore, and this is my plea to you folks out there. Long Island used to have many, many, many racetracks. There's only one left. Only one. And he's collected pictures. He's collected headshots, pictures of cars, pictures of racetracks that are long gone. Long gone. And when Marty is gone, we don't know what this museum is going to bring. We don't know if it's still going to be there. We don't know what's going to happen to it. Because I don't know anybody that has the same passion as Marty Himes when it comes to racing. Yeah, a lot of us say we do, but would we turn our house and property and take the property on both sides and make it a museum and preserve racing's past, I don't know if we're that passionate. And the thing that is upsetting to me is a lot of people only show up at the Himes Museum for the reunion. They only show up when they can get a free hot dog or a donut or a soda or something. And I don't think, and I'm not going to rephrase that, I know that the donations that Marty gets over the year isn't enough to pay the electric bill on the trailers and the property. And I guess what my plea is, give him a call. Give him a call, talk some racing. Make an appointment, tell him you want to come out and spend a couple hours. Because let me tell you something, book the day, because in a couple of hours, you're going to get from the front door to the living room. Book the day. Go see the place. Go see what he has there. There's got to be something that interests you, and there's got to be people that you know and remember that raced in those days, because racing is touched. If you're watching this show, whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching it on social media, whether you're watching it through the social media or the website, or you're going to watch it at work during the week on your break or whenever, you know, you're into this. You're into this. You know, yeah, there's maybe somebody who in the springtime their kid plays little league ball or high school ball. Yeah, he might miss a show or two. There's a guy that's a big Ranger fan, so you know he's gonna watch the Rangers. There's people, you know, who has to go get their nails done because they got a holiday, or it's a holiday and you can't make it. But his passion is such an, and I'm gonna tell you something. I saw Marty. I was out to his house a couple months ago, and he was saddened by that because nobody comes anymore. You know, nobody comes, nobody visits, nobody calls. You know, people bring stuff, sure, they'll bring stuff. I gotta go. You know, and I don't know. You know, it's. I feel bad. I really do, and I wish I had more time to be a little more involved with him. But you know, I know his family is as helpful as they can be. His grandsons are doing what they can. Marty Jr., you know, has hopes and dreams and plans for the museum, but this is something that, you know, folks, when it's gone, and you don't want that to happen. You know, you don't want to lose out on that. You don't want to say, hey, what happened to all of that stuff? What happened to those old cars that raced in the 40s and the 50s? When you look at them, I drove one of those cars in a nostalgia. I'm going to call it a parade because we were told not to race. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I can't believe this. And not in a good way. I was like, you know, these guys race these things. And then when you look back and you talk to some of the old timers who actually drove these race cars, they tell you that was state of the art back then. Now, I don't know how state of the art it is when you take an old seatbelt and strap your driver's door shut. I don't know what happened about welding it, you know, a little tab here. Because they were stock cars back then. They were stock cars. They had stock floorboards and stock firewalls. And they would, you know, cut holes in the firewall for the Grand National bars for those who used them, because not everybody had them. It didn't become a rule till the late 60s. But some of the local old-time racers put all kinds of bars on their cars, you know, and you know, what are you going to do? It's, you want to preserve some of this. You know, yeah, it would be great if some rich benefactor had a warehouse somewhere and we could roll everything in and categorize it and put it, you know, out there and lay it out all neat. And, you know, if you want to see modified stuff, it's here. You want to see late model stuff, it's here. If you want to see racing history, the tracks, that's in this other room. You know, maybe we could do that, but it would take a lot of stuff. And yeah, a lot of those cars are out in the weather, without a doubt. You know, even covering up doesn't protect them. And I know Al Lamarino, one year, and I don't remember when it was, it's got to be 10, 12 years ago, took the Ace of Spades out of D'Angelo's car, and he painted it up like fresh and new. It looked gorgeous. It looked gorgeous. And, you know, and you know, Al's a good buddy of mine, and he's one of the best in the business at body and paint, and he made that car look pristine. You know, when it came out, and yeah, we might need some people to do some of that to some of these old cars and get some of the pictures out there. The 590, the green and yellow car, I believe it was Axel Anderson's, you know, raced on Long Island back in the day, way back in the day. When you look at those cars, and you just, I stare at them in awe, you know, and I kind of joke around when I'm in the pit area at any racetrack, and a non-race, I call them fence grabbers, you know. They're in the garage, they're in the pits, like, woohoo, I'm in the pits. And they stare at a modified, like, front end. And I say to myself, what are they looking at? Do they know what they're looking at? And not to be, you know, mean, but they stare at it. Then here I am at Marty Himes, and I'm doing the same thing with these older cars. You know, and I'm like, I'm trying to figure out, how did that work? The chassis, 8 inches off the ground. How did it work? How did they turn? You know, and you see some old pictures, and the tires and the fenders. There's not this much space between them. And, you know, you had to be a driver. You had to be a driver in those days. Today, you watch them drive. You watch the in-car cameras. They're just cruising along. They're going in the corner, go down the straightaway, hanging out in the corner. You watch, in fact, I just watched a video this afternoon from the old days of racing. It was thrills and spills and something, and it had an in-car camera in Cale Yarborough's car. It had to be around 63, 64. And he was all arms and elbows. He was all arms and elbows. But the car appeared to be cornering perfect and going down the straightaway straight. And I'll tell you what, he was arms and elbows, you know. But you know, as somebody was saying, it might not be organized, but, you know, I'm telling you, he has so much stuff, and he's always moving stuff and making room for stuff. And, you know, I'm blessed that I have stuff there. I have some fire suits there from my NASCAR wheel and modified days and my Federal days, and a bunch of shirts from my officiating days and some hats. And it kind of makes you feel good that, you know, people look at that, you know, and someday people are going to look at that and say, wow, I remember that guy. That's the guy that wrecked the 22 every week, you know. But at least they're remembering me. So anyway, it's take a visit, take a ride. I mean, now it's going to be cold, and, you know, but there's a lot to do, see insides. And you got me. You guys got me. But, you know, but I'll tell you what, it doesn't hurt to call him up and go look at pictures and stuff. And you know, he showed me plans for the Indy track. The Indy, it was a mile. He showed me plans for it one time. And he goes, you're into figure eights? I said, yeah. He goes, the Indy track was supposed to be a figure eight course. I said, stop. And he showed me the plans. And they were real plans. It wasn't like somebody drew it on a paper towel. They were real plans. And figure eight track at a mile. Now, can you imagine? Jay Slice, I bet you're sitting there laughing like crazy. I thought you were my buddy. Now you are. So, you know, when you have stuff like that, you know, and you just have to make it happen. You have to enjoy it while it's here, you know, and he does. And somebody on the Facebook, you know, Kathleen was saying that Marty has it all in his head. Somebody needs to go talk to him. Now, Phil Kurz, president of Whaling Engineering Motorsports Division, said to me once, he asked me to go sit with guys like Ed Cox, who was a tour director, Ed Flemke, who was a driver, the Fullers, the Fuller brothers, Wayne Anderson. Sit with those guys, the Bowler family. Go see those guys. Go talk to these guys that race and get their stories. Marty Himes, get his stories. Write it down. He said, and we sat for a good hour. And he was trying to convince me to write this book about that. And I thought about it and thought about it. It's not really my style, but yeah, wow, maybe. But somebody has to do this. Somebody has to write this down, because when these men are gone, it's gone. The stories are gone. You can't share it anymore. They're gone. Anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have some more race talk, and we'll feed off of what you people are talking about. And you made me laugh. You win. Okay. All right. Sometimes I have to let people win. I can't win all the time. But anyway, we're going to take a break. We'll be back.
Inravio.com.
Hi, I'm Remington.
I'm Emerson.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're Palais Royale, and you're watching Inravio TV.
There we go.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, this is Chris and Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi, this is Mike Jarecki from My Race News, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Anyway, we're going to end up doing that video next week with Lenny Fisher. We have some technical things, and I don't know what was wrong with it, but you guys are killing me. I'm telling you, you guys are killing me. You guys are trying to keep me honest here. As Tink says, someone has to now do what WJ can't. WJ, and WJ was one of those guys. You know, it's funny. It wasn't funny all the time, but man, he was like my biggest critic, and you know. And sometimes he'd say it in the chat room, sometimes he would call me up, but he always kept me on my toes, you know. And if I made a mistake, he'd catch it, you know. And but you know, the one thing about him is that he never embarrassed me, and he always did it with good intentions. And I do miss WJ. I miss him. I can't sit up in those seats that he had his stickers on So we knew I just can't go up there. It's not the same without him. And he's gone 3 years now, and it's hard to believe that the 3 years went so fast. Went so fast. And but you know what? It's awesome that at the end of every show, even sometimes there, somebody always does a little mention for him. And I can remember when that final night, and I whispered his ear, and I said to him, I said, you'll always be a part of my show. And I said that, and yeah, he still does watch from above, and I believe that. I really do. I believe that people that I don't want to get into my religious beliefs, but I believe that, and yeah. Kathy, wow, that was big. But anyway, talking about racing, and like I said, now is the time of year where the drivers are spending time with their families. And just for that quick break, and I know when we talked, I talked with a couple of drivers over the years at different racetracks, and they say that they don't have an off season per se. They have a couple of weeks. And this is it. This, now to Christmas, and that's really it. That's really the only time they get to do that. It's during this holiday time. They have some time off, and they take a vacation with their families, and they go do something. But they're getting ready. The shop's not shut down. The shops are still preparing cars. They're waiting for a rules package to come out to do the finishing touches. But the shops are active. Some people get laid off. It's a little slow, but they call them right back. So that's your gig. I was talking to somebody recently that knew a hauler driver that the season ends. Okay, thanks a lot. See you in January. And you say, wow, it's the holidays. What is he going to do? But and I've said this over and over to people. This is the business we chose, and this is what we do. And when I look back, and somebody just said to me just recently, they said, you missed a lot of stuff because of racing. I did, and we all did. We all did. We missed our kids' little league on Saturday, and we missed parades and things of that nature. But then when I started working for NASCAR, I was missing like a lot of stuff, and and I told people, I said, what, I was so, I'm going to say it, hell-bent on becoming an official at the top series that I didn't look at that. And I said, I was too busy making a living. And, people said, that wasn't my livelihood. My livelihood was at UPS. But this was something that I could retire from UPS. And man, who wouldn't want to just work 3 days a week or 2 days a week and have your Monday to Friday free, and you go to the beach on Monday to Friday and it's empty because the weekends you can't get in. There's things like that. But now I do this, and this is fun. In fact, we're probably going to have a co-host, and we'll introduce that person when they get here, to kind of help out and throw another thought into the discussions. And we're going to just try to negotiate what day he's going to start or she's going to start. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I'm looking forward to that. When I started this show, we had a co-host. I was the co-host, and we had a good time with it. So then the guy went and built a car for the Bonneville Saw Flats and never came back. He never came back to the show. And that was Henry Boston. He was a good guy. But we went on, and I learned, and I have fun with you folks, and I look forward to this. And it's like the guys who play cards on Friday nights. You look forward to it, like you people. If I'm late, I can see the comments, and he's late again. Oh no, he's late again. But anyway, I think we're almost time to wrap this up. And so, what I'm gonna do? Oh, I got time. They just held up in the room. Hey. So, this is what I'm gonna say. It's the holidays, folks. You got that racer in your family, gift certificate to the parts place, maybe something that they need for their racing gloves, helmet, shoes. I don't know what your budget is, but this is what I'm gonna tell you. Don't get a $20 helmet. You know, unless your boyfriend or husband or girlfriend or wife who races has a $20 head. That's what I'm saying. The late Walt Detzel used to say that. Go get the best. If you're gonna buy the driver in your family racing equipment, go get the best. And if they're at the best at your local racing parts store, go online and get the best. You don't want to be injured because you didn't have the best. And Jerry Nadeau was a driver in the Cup Series who had a terrible, horrific crash in 2003. It took him out of racing. It almost killed him. He has just announced today that he is going to donate his brain to science, so they could examine that. They could examine his brain, look inside and see what happened. And as are some of the football players, anybody who's had a head trauma, they're going to do that. And Jerry Nadeau, and I'm so happy that he survived that horrific crash and lived. But he has some, brain injury, and it's, I don't know, it's one of those things. So anyway, so think about that. If you're gonna buy them something, buy the best. Buy the best fire suit, the best helmet, the best gloves, the underwear. Don't cut corners. Don't cut corners, because cheap is expensive. And that's something my dad taught me very, very early in life. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for being part of my show tonight, for taking time out of your busy schedules, especially during this holiday season. And I know you're all busy, but I thank you. This means a lot, not only to me, but to our network. And also, for each and every one of you people, for remembering WJ, for making me laugh, for cracking up. And this is what we do. This is what we do. We sit around and talk racing. It's like a Sunday after the races, we sit somewhere and we talk, or in the parking lot afterwards, we sit and talk racing. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And wherever your endeavors may bring you this week, please be safe, please be careful, give somebody a hug, tell them you love them. God bless you all, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Inravio.com.